taxation public hearing agenda. Candace, would you do a roll call?
Councilmember Northwell,
Here.
Councilmember Stevens,
Here.
Mayor Scott,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson. Yes. Member Beal
Here.
and Member Birch.
Here. Thank you. We have a presentation by our chief financial officer of the city, Jonathan Knudsen. So I would ask him to come up and do his thing.
Right, good evening, truth and taxation.
Hold on, slideshow, here we go.
So we pull that up, this is anytime we change the rate from what, or the amount from what the county has set for us from the prior year. We have to go through the truth and taxation process. So we've proposed an increase of $14,000 this year, and so that's why we're here tonight to go through this. Okay. So this is just a breakup where property taxes are paid to, as you can see there, the school district, Sandy County, and then a couple of other county things there, as well as Ephraim City's piece. So that's, if you were to throw that in a pie, that's how much your property tax goes to Ephraim City, which ends up being about 11% of the total. And this is just a chart of all the cities in the county, and you can see where Ephraim fits in there with the other cities. So we're about in the middle.
Yeah, let's go back to
Yeah,
the
sorry.
previous slide.
I don't know how,
Is that if we approve this new rate?
left arrow thing.
Yeah, so that's everything in the numbers tonight is if we accept the rate that we have in the budget, so 0.001168 is the total property tax rate for Ephraim.
Good. Want me to advance?
Yeah, go ahead. So this is the historical tax rate for Ephraim. Besides a few years there since 2008 to 2013. It's pretty much declined each year, a few little ups, but overall it's been decreasing. So what that means is houses, residential houses and businesses are each year have been historically paying a little bit less each year, and most of that's due to growth. And it's just the stuff put out to the paper and on our site and on public notice sites. Just explaining on the average, what would happen with the average house of $450,000. That number's set by the county, so they give us that number, and then we give them the amount that we want to calculate the rate. As you can see in there, the difference in a residential home from what it would have been to what we're proposing is $8.21 a year, and for a property with, or a commercial property with that same value, it's at $14.94 a year. So this is a little bit of a breakdown, more on what that notice shows. So in there you can see the 2024 rate. So if we were comparing this to last year's rate, and based off that $415,000 for the average value, it would have been $244.91. And if we go with what the county proposed, so that 2025 tax rate, no change. The cost would be $228.71 per year. And with what we're proposing, it would be $36.92. And you can see that set now. So
Hey, I just want to make sure we all see this slide, okay? 2024, this home, $415,000 home, right?
Right.
$244.91 in taxes.
Based off the 2024 rate, so last year that.
Yeah, the fiscal year of 2024, right? Our rate.
Yeah.
So even though we say we're increasing taxes, what we pay with our increase is actually $8 less than what we paid last year.
Right. So if we didn't change the rate, it would have been $16.20 less. But we've increased the rate and it's about $8 that increase over what it would have been is about $8, yeah. And then commercial doesn't get a discount where the primary residence does, so they would pay that full amount. But yeah, that's what it would be. So, and if we go with the proposed rate that we have, and that would be $236.92 a year. This is where all that would go. So you see, fire $16, police 79, and again, this is for the year, so each house is paying $16 to have a fire department. $39 to have a police department.
This is in totality, John, isn't it? Totality of where our taxes go in the city,
Right,
right?
so. Yeah, so the property tax that we have submitted to the county is $375,000. Split that up between all residents and then split that up between the different departments, so that's how much it goes to. So for a household, that takes $9.45 to run the library. Okay. And then this is just short information about kind of how the property taxes work in our city. So like I said, we set the dollar amount. And then can calculate that based off of property values to determine the rate. But the rate multiplied by the property tax value is what's set. So
Sorry.
you're good. And what this does is it creates some stable income for the city. It's not like sales tax, which could fluctuate up and down, depending on kind of items are purchased in the city throughout the year. And this is actually city compared to the whole general fund. Like I said, it's $375,000, where the general fund budget is $5 to $6 million a year, so it's a significant revenue source for the city, but it does help just for inflation, which is what we're doing this for, is to help cover the cost of inflation.
The majority of our taxes that we collect as a city are from sales tax.
Yeah. Which is, that fluctuates.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard to budget on that. It's nice to have, but it's a little bit difficult to budget, whereas this one is easier to budget because we set it. Right, it's the same every year. And that's, did I miss anything?
Nope,
I think
that's
that's
it.
everything.
I've heard a rumor that, we're raising taxes to pay for the roads for Ephraim Crossing. Is that where this $14,000 is going?
No, I mean, so I've heard that too, like about, if you think about $14,000 in roads, that would give you a foot of maybe a foot, I don't know. It's not gonna get very far on roads. This is not to cover any roads anywhere. Roads have their own fund that the property tax revenue actually doesn't go to, so this has, and we could use it because it's in the general fund. We could use it to help maintain roads, but it's not gonna go very far if this is all we're doing with roads.
So what is it for?
This is cost of everything that's gone up from inflation, from insurance, to fuel, to cost of operating and maintaining the buildings. Different personnel and departments. So police equipment, fire equipment, all the staff, it's just to help cover the cost that has increased dramatically for the city to operate. And again, that's in the general fund. This is power, sewer, water, any of that.
I might just interject here that in the last 5 years, our inflation rate has hit about, it depends on who you go to for that, but we're looking at probably 15 to 16% in the last 5 years. This doesn't cover even that.
No, it doesn't.
And so it's a modest tax increase. Well, it's a fraction of really, and so we're still tightening our belt. We're not doing anything that is extraordinary in the city. It's planned out, it's measured, and so, I mean, it's inflation. We're under the same inflationary pressures that hit every home in our city and every home in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, and we went through the truth and taxation process last year, and prior to that, it had probably been 18 to 19 years.
1987, prior to that.
Significant amount of time since we've done that, and this increase is about 3%, which totaled about 14,000, so. Like you said, it's not keeping up with inflation, but it is a little bit there to help cover some of the inflation costs.
John,
Yeah.
can you go back to that slide that Dennis was looking at and explaining to us? And could you walk me through that a little bit more? I'm trying to figure out how last year's tax would be higher than this year's tax with this.
Yeah, aren't we?
Yeah, so how does that work?
So that's due to growth. So as more houses and businesses come in here, that cost of covering the projects, because like I said, it's set at a rate, not a percent. Like, we don't set a percent. So we tell the county we want $375,000, and then we divide that out among all the businesses and residences. So as we grow, that's spread out farther. So each business or residence pays a little bit less because there's more people helping cover that cost.
Okay, thank you.
So that's why we're raising it, but it's still going down because it's just spread out more.
Any other questions, council members? Okay, thanks, Jonathan. Would you be on hand to answer questions? Now, we'd like to open it up now for questions that anybody has, and also public comment that anybody has. And if you'll just come here to the mic, state your full name, and then just tell us what your question is. Or your comment. Doesn't have to be a question. Please, feel free to come up. We want to hear from you.
I don't necessarily want to come up.
Okay,
But it said I know that one statement on the bottom that says over time, we have to increase the tax rate for things such as it was listed.
right on.
But wasn't it just a year or maybe a year and a half ago that there was a tax increase, property tax increase?
That came from the county. That came from the county. A year ago, we held this meeting and we raised it probably the same amount, 3.85% or whatever it is this year. And so we're doing that again this year because that's what legally, that's what we're required to do. But in terms of, that statement, that's talking about sometime in the future, we may have to have another one of these meetings. We'll have to hold truth and taxation again.
We don't anticipate that, but
And it was increased a year or so ago.
It was.
You said it was county.
Well, the county, there are two different tax bills that you receive one, you receive the county's tax bill, which includes, if I'm not mistaken, John, correct me, it includes Ephraim's tax bill, but the majority of your increase several years ago was the county.
Well, I read that, but it also, the city received the increase also.
Last year. Last year, that helped the city, but the prior years when the county did that didn't do anything for the city. Yeah, just more what Mayor was saying, that last year Ephraim City did increase it a little bit, but a few years ago when the county did that only increased it for the county, not the city.
See, we didn't, before last year, we hadn't held a truth and taxation hearing since 1987. And so even though our tax rate was pretty healthy from sales tax, it began last year that the inflationary costs to the city was overwhelming our natural growth of taxes coming in from sales tax. And so that's why we held it last year, and that's why we're holding it this year. Doesn't mean, I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that we'll do this. But we do this as a legal and as an ethical approach to our community, so that our residents who have come know what's happening with their city and know what's going on with our taxes.
So you're raising the taxes. I mean, you raised them, you said 3.8%, let's round that up to 4% last year.
Yep.
And it's gonna do the same thing this year.
But it's actually lower. I know it's a weird formula. It's actually lower because you have a bigger pot, a bigger sales tax arena that we're now drawing from.
The amount that you are paying annually is lower. So it's kind of a
I'm confused on that. He said it was sales tax.
no, this doesn't have anything to do with sales tax.
He did. He misspoke. No, it was mayor.
Oh.
He said, sales tax,
Right.
it's property tax.
Right.
We're talking about property tax. Yeah,
I'm thinking of two different things. but anyway.
Yeah.
So if it lowers it, raise it. Doesn't make sense. If you're gonna pull in less money, why do you raise it?
if we did not raise it, we would be 14, yes, we would be even lower. So we're just trying to keep even. We're trying to keep our noses above water. That's what we're trying to do. We're
That's-
not trying to get a bunch of money. We're just trying to break even.
So right now, I mean, can you see this slide? You can see right here. 2024 tax, that's the number that we paid if we owned a $415,000 home. $244.91. With the county proposed rate, this year would go down to $228.71. We feel as the city that we want to keep it up around the 244. We want to take advantage of the growth in the city to bless the city, which blesses all the residents, right? So instead of the total amount going down to 228, we're proposing that it only go down to 236. We're kind of splitting with the residents 50%. The city's gonna get 50% of that. And the resident's gonna get 50% of that tax reduction. So technically, we're raising taxes. We have to call it a raise in taxes, but you are paying less. Still, even with the raise of taxes, you annually are paying less property tax. We want to be good stewards of the city and take advantage of the growth. It's because of the growth, right? There's more people paying that amount, so we're gonna get more.
So I'm having a hard time with this. I pay more taxes in this county than I pay in St. George. On a normal 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. I pay twice as much money here as I do in St. George.
But you pay less than you,
Pay what?
you're paying as.
Less of it comes to the city.
Since 2024, 3 properties in just Ephraim alone.
The majority of that is coming from the county.
Just in Ephraim. I'm not talking about county, just take it to.
What we're saying is, the main portion of that property tax that you're paying doesn't come to Ephraim. There's where it goes to, South San Pete School District, State Basic School Levy, San Pete County.
Separately anyway. That's not, I'm talking about Ephraim City's got their own little line on my tax rate.
Okay.
And that goes right to Ephraim, right? All our school taxes and all that stuff comes out of the county.
Yeah.
I'm talking separately. You guys alone are on our, I didn't bring my bill with me.
I've got my bill.
And it says right there on,
Yeah. Good luck reading it. Ephraim City. Yeah, so 300,
all the money out of it.
this is my tax bill, so it's not gonna be the same as these numbers, but we'll just round them. 300 of the 3,000 comes to Ephraim, 10%.
So do you pay less than 300 down in St. George?
To the city.
I pay less on a piece of property down there than I do up here. Half.
150?
So what we're saying, and what's your name?
Where's all this money going anyway, to spend for all, I want to put it for future growth, but. What are the impact fees for?
Here's where your
You're
money
talking about
goes.
something different.
Impact fees are a totally different animal.
Oh, of course it is. But when you grow, the impact fees are supposed to pay for all this stuff. Why are we paying for more stuff as we grow?
We actually have to have your name. We have to have your name for the record. Thank you. Great, thank you.
We're not paying for any growth. We're paying,
We're taking advantage.
we're taking
We're taking
advantage
some of the advantage of the growth back in the city.
to lower the taxes. See, what this is that we're stating we don't agree with the county's declaration because it's 40 some odd dollars less than what we had last year. And so we're splitting that. We're not gonna go to 244 on a $415,000 property. We're gonna go to 236. Last year, we were charging 244 or 344.
244.
244.
That one back.
And then we're gonna go,
Proposal was to go to 225.
right, that was, 222 was the county's
But
proposal.
3 years ago, Ephraim City wasn't even on that piece of paper. Was it?
Oh, yeah,
It always has been.
it has always been on there.
It's the tiny font.
You're not blind, you just, know.
John, I need some clarification, as I'm looking at that, what's the percentage? So it's, last year it was 0.001073, which was what the tax was, right? That percentage of it, so this year is 0.001038. So is the tax, so does that mean we're being taxed less money this year than we were last year? But what we're raising it above is what this county is saying is the basic fee that we could charge. So we're saying we're going to raise the tax above the basic county rate, but we're not raising it to the point we did last year. Am I understanding that right, or do I misunderstand that?
Last year it's 3.28.
Yeah, so this year is 3.28. I think last year was a little bit more. I think it was pretty closer to 7 actually, but. So yeah, if we went with the county rate, it's decreasing because, if you have 100 houses split paying $100,000 versus 120 houses paying that same amount, each house would be paying less if there's more residents paying property taxes on the same amount.
So those percentages then are because they're different, because there are more homes that they're using that for.
Right.
And so they can lower than that percentage that they're taking from each person.
Yeah, so we set an amount. Last year was 350,000 because of growth. It would have been, if we went with no change, it would have been 366 or 368,000. But we're saying we're gonna raise it to 375. So we're taking 375, dividing it by more people, more residents and businesses. Well, the amount paid is lower, even lower, increasing it slightly.
I don't know if will be helpful to anybody, but it's revenue based, it's not rate based. Right, so they want to hit a certain revenue. That's what their decision number is we've got to hit this revenue. And then they figure out the rate per capita, right, per household and commercial business to hit that revenue, and that's what they set their rate at. So put the historical graph again on there. So that's why it's going down, right? It's been going down since whatever
Yeah.
the year is, the bottom of there,
That was 1997.
97. Generally speaking, right? It's going down, going down, going down. As far as what we pay total. So you should have been here in the 90s if you think it's bad now. Right? We were paying a lot more back then.
But I think we were paying more on less. That $415,000 home.
Randy, if you'll just state your name.
Right.
That $415,000 home in the 90s, 180.
Yeah.
On it, so we don't feel like we're paying less in taxes. Because now instead of paying on $180,000 or $200,000 home, that was top brass, 90s.
You're right.
Now we're hitting 415,000. So that decrease on that chart, it's kind of, to me, it's almost backwards. There needs to be a decrease in taxes, but an increase in value. To maybe help us all understand that persuasion point that, yes, we are paying less in taxes, thank goodness. But we haven't felt like we're paying less in taxes because of the values.
Yeah. So on my bill, you're exactly right. My bill, for example, right, has a market value of 2024, where I'm paying 245. But now my 2025 market value goes up.
That's where we're getting hit with.
And the rate,
Even though the
going
rate
down.
is,
but the market value is going up. So,
the city doesn't determine the market value.
no, they don't, we're all caught up.
No, unfortunately.
but we want our values to go up too, because that
Do we?
until it's time to pay tax.
Not in this case.
It's like I say, as I do taxes, when I prepare tax returns. When people are upset about how much tax they have to pay, it's always good to make more money. Until you have to pay tax on it. It's always good to have our home values increase. We want that equity.
You leave me out.
Okay, I'll speak for myself. I want my home value to go up, right? That's how it builds wealth. That's how it's gonna,
That was the plan on selling.
right, or give it to my kids. Right?
Tax man,
Yeah, so, but then we have to pay tax on it, that's true.
Just as a matter of my taxes proposed on the tax rate this year went up $15 on each city. $15 and some odd cents. Year after year, that adds up. You know, and the home value is not going down. That's one thing I can promise you along with that, your taxes, they're not gonna go down but anytime in the foreseeable future that I. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Megan?
I was just gonna point out, Brian mentioned that he pays significantly less in St. George than he does here. But the population of Sanpete County is about 30,000. The population in St. George is 106,000. So there's more people in St. George to spread out that money to. That's why you pay less versus here, there's less of us. So like if everyone in here, let's say the fee was $100 and we split it between all of us, the more people that came, the less we would owe. So it's kind of the same. St. George has a bigger population to split those funds with versus us. We have a smaller population.
And that's why they've been going down as we've grown over the last 25 years.
And we've been able to make that up. And here's, I guess, where, what I'm talking about, we've been able to remain steady with sales tax. Two different taxes, but as a city, we've been able to stay on top of things with sales tax up until last year. And last year was kind of the breaking point for us, that we realized that we could no longer do nothing.
How does the Ephraim City property tax rate compare with other cities in Sanpete County?
John, or Katie, do you want to,
I was.
right there in the red.
There's 3 other cities doing truth in taxation, and I put their rates as if they accepted those on here. So you can see Gunnison's, it used to be down here, they're doing a significant increase this year, and so that bumped them up to be the highest rate in the county. But it does include the other cities' truth in taxation rate.
I like how you put us in the red.
That's what it feels like.
If I could have you state your name.
Larry Smith.
Other comments, thoughts, questions? Please, do you want to come up here? Suzanne?
It's not substantive, it doesn't have anything to do with the past. But, it took me a while to start to understand this treatment separation. I think the vast majority of citizens statewide are totally confused by it. And I think it would be, I just wonder if it would be worth some time to have a job talk and someone walking through exactly how your tax, you know, how your property taxes determined. How the changes would have changed them down.
Thank you. That was Suzanne. Just the slogan. Any other thoughts? Sure. State your name again.
I'm still Larry Smith. I would like to thank you for spending my money wisely. I think we get a pretty good deal of the tax that we pay, so. I would hope that you'd be wise. I think you are, and just continue. I know it's tough and all that stuff. Nobody, and I'm not sure I like my property values going up, because that means nobody can afford to buy a house here. And that's a problem when we try to hire people at college. We can't hire people that can afford to buy a house in Ephraim. So increasing housing prices are definitely a concern. But overall, I think the city's doing a great job, and I want to thank you for being wise with our money. Thanks.
Thank you.
We are constantly trying to find affordable housing too. But we want them to get in and then their values to go up so they have wealth, right? So they're building wealth, our children and grandchildren.
My name's Shelley Kiesel and I'm a resident here, but I have a little bit of an explanation. The way I understand it was taught about truth and taxation, and I've got it on my phone, but it says maintaining a rate will still raise your rate. As values go up, your taxes and your tax rate go down. So each year the tax rate should go down unless, excuse me, go down unless values go down, then your rates will go up. You guys are just increasing your rate instead of doing it all at once in 10 years.
Right.
So that's the way I understand it. And that helps me to understand what's going on better. And it makes more sense.
Okay, thank you. Please, Bonnie.
Yes, ma'am.
Tonight you said you wanted to call the fire like that way. And yet, 2 or 3 weeks ago at these same meetings, you said kids can't afford to buy a home. So what do you say?
So that's why we are trying to find ways to have affordable housing, right?
But you
It's a great question. So what we want, I mean, to me, affordable housing nowadays, Bonnie, is $300,000 is considered affordable housing. That's what we're trying to shoot for, which to me is crazy, right?
then you want us to still go.
I want mine, yeah, I want to gain wealth. Yes, I want to gain equity in my home. But I also want there to be opportunities for our children, right, just getting out of college, to be able to get into a home. Right? They're not the same homes that I'm talking about. I'm to a point in my life now where I don't need a starter home. But I want there to be starter homes in Ephraim, which right now there's not a lot of.
Good checking on you.
Keeping me honest, like she always does.
Any other thoughts, questions, comments? Okay, seeing that there are no other comments, I'm going to close the public hearing portion for truth and taxation on item 1A of this part of the agenda, and I'm going to go to item B of the agenda, Ephraim City Resolution 25-16, ECR 2516, a resolution adopting a property tax increase. Any questions, council members? Looking for a motion?
I move that we adopt Ephraim City Resolution 25-16, property tax increase.
Motion made by Councilmember Beal, second by Councilmember Stevens, all in favor?
Yes.
Passes unanimously, thank you. Moving now to our regularly scheduled Ephraim City meeting. We've already done a roll call. Do I need to do that again? Yes. We'd like to have Nick Mills, who is our city attorney, give us an opening prayer, followed by Margie Anderson, who will give us a pledge of allegiance.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're grateful to thee for this day, grateful that we live in this country where we can be able to attend these meetings and to know what's going on in our civic affairs. Father, we ask for thy spirit to be with us tonight, that we can observe the workings of the city in a peaceful and orderly way, and we ask for thy spirit to be upon our elected officials, that they'll make wise decisions that will bless this city. We say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please join me in reciting the pledge. Maybe at a little slower rate than we usually do, and we can think about it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie and Nick. Are there any public comments, Ken? Moving on to presentations, item 1A, livestock project, presentation by John and Roy Everett. How are you guys? You've grown up a little bit. Keep growing every year that we see you. It used to be 4. Where's the other 2?
They didn't.
They're growing up.
They skipped out. My name is Roy Everett.
And my name is John Everett.
We're here today to talk to you guys about our sheep livestock 4-H project this year.
Our sheep's name, my sheep's name is Flopsy and his sheep's name is.
Is what?
Wooly.
Wooly.
Raising lambs is like really hard work. We've been getting up every morning this entire summer to walk them first thing in the morning. We've been feeding them 2 times a day, we've fed them a couple times. And a lot more, including, there's like some newer people in our club this year and we've been feeding them.
4-H is not just the youth, alright, 4-H is a youth development program. And it's not only sheep, it's building, like leadership and responsibility and teaching you how to work hard and teaching you public speaking. And so much more.
The support from you guys would help us to like succeed in this year's project and also allow us to do projects in the coming future. We would like to ask you guys if you were willing to boost us by donating to our livestock.
Thank you for your time, if you have any.
Questions, council members?
What time do you get up in the morning to go walk your sheep?
Started by getting up
6, 5.
and going and walking them at 7.
One of the partners we have that, he was like alone, he didn't have any siblings doing it with him. So he came with us because it's not pretty easy to be like alone. So we've been walking with him and, currently he doesn't have a house. He's been living in his camp trailer with his family as they're building their house. So she didn't have access to an alarm clock. So she'd always been late, so we changed her time to, getting up at 7:15 and walking at 7:30.
And with that young man, is this financial help you're asking for him also?
No, just for us. He has his own boosters day.
How much are you asking for?
Stop it.
We're really asking for a specific amount, but last year you did do 100 for each sheep and we had 2 revenue for this year. So, yeah.
We might need to raise property taxes.
Anthony always does that, doesn't he? He's always the comedic foil in the meeting.
Do you walk them on a leash? I wanna see this, walking of the sheep.
It's sort of like a leash, it's a halter, so rather than just like going around their neck, it goes around their muzzle and also their neck to just like, cause otherwise they could just like.
You do it when you're on the street or do you do it on your property or?
We put them on the street, so go from our property out west, up to our house, it's about half a mile there and then back.
You need from here?
Yeah.
It's dangerous business. I'm reminded of Leila and Joe Scholes. And Joe got a bum lamb from Ralph Lund, 2 bummers, and the one died. And so the other one became very attached to Joe. And they would go on walks. And Joe had to be really careful because that lamb, which was then, 2.5 feet tall, would knock Leila over. Didn't want Leila near Joe at all. So, I don't know if your lambs do that, but.
Or if you have a girlfriend.
Are you looking for a motion or something?
This isn't on the emotion agenda, but we are, I guess we're looking for some advice and counsel from council on how much we should donate. We did $100 per lamb last year. They had 4 lambs last year. They have 2 this year. So whatever you think is appropriate, council.
I think they. Yes.
They
are responsibility.
Definitely.
Yeah. Why don't you go for 500 apiece?
I would suggest that we follow our little, like our truth and taxation and we could raise it, but because it's gone down, it's actually, the total is less.
It could move it 125 or 150 a sheet and still be less than what we were last year.
I agree with that.
Okay, what is it that you agree with? Okay, 150. So that,
Good for that.
are we,
We're not doing a motion.
no,
Can this be a tax write-off?
yeah.
To the city, yeah.
If the
You
sheet.
talk with them afterwards if you want to donate to them.
They'll take donations.
These boys have done this for 3 years now. And when I say you've grown, really, when they first started, you were his size. And, you know, so it's fun seeing them on a yearly basis. But so are we okay?
The other thing is they always report back,
They do.
because they always come back with pictures.
I'll get to see,
Back.
So.
I like that.
Back to make a report.
So I think the council's feeling, you know, we have a category in our budget for donations. And, so I think the council's feelings is $150 per lamb. And, so if you want to get with, you know, city administration sometime, that's what we'll go for. Okay? And we wish you the best of luck, and we support what you're doing. It's, 4-H is a building skill. And you do learn about finances, and you learn about feed, and you learn about animals, and you learn about one another. And I can't think of a better way to spend our money. So, thank you. Thank you very much.
Don't have history.
Thank you.
Better look at that picture.
Okay, moving on to item D, Chamber of Commerce presentation, Phelan Warnick.
I'm bringing my board up here.
Bringing your pop.
So, just to give you a little bit of an idea of what the chamber does. The chamber's been around for about 2 years. Well, first of all, I'm Phelan Warnick and Flavia King. This is my vice president and my secretary. So, we have been around for 2 years in November. So, and we've grown up to 127 members in those 2 years. Our goal is to support local businesses and act as an information center, as well as inform them of resources, give them referrals, information, and provide education for businesses. The reason why we did this is because we were noticing that businesses in Sanpete County were struggling, and we were seeing a lot of them close, or they were just having a really hard time, and they may not have been getting the information that they needed. So we decided to do this and help just kind of bring everyone together and try, hopefully, with that, we can kind of build those resources up. The one problem that we've had in this 2 years, we've grown, we've had all sorts of different lunch and learn meetings every single month. We've had a business symposium, we've had lots of events, and successful events, but we don't have a location. So that is why I'm coming here today. So we would like to have a location, but we don't want just a location. We would like to do like a retail incubator. So we kind of switched the title around a little bit, and it would be like Square One, a play off of the Ford at Ephraim Square. And the Sanpete Chamber would like to use the granary space and provide a retail incubator for our businesses that may have a little bit of fear about taking that first step in getting a retail spot. And maybe having their business in their garage, or may not have all of the information that they need to grow, or just maybe not the support that they need, or an outlet to sell their wares. So we would have kind of like the front part. If you notice, I did a really rough plan. So there would be 4 areas for retail space on the main level, and they would be able to rotate out every 2 weeks. And we would make sure that we could plan all of this online, and we would set up like a system to do that. We would have our office space there, so we would be there to support them as well. And we would want to do a conference room upstairs. So not only could we provide education for them, if they had any questions or maybe needed help along the way with marketing, or maybe something else, maybe they didn't understand accounting or something like that, then we can help bring in other resources through maybe Snow College, who we partner with, or R6, or any of the other organizations that we partner with that can help them and give them the resources that they need to grow. And then we'd like to utilize the other space upstairs as a multi-use office and maybe a streaming space. There's a need for people to maybe have a place that they can do webinars or podcasts. So that would be a space that they could use upstairs. And then downstairs, we would have a photo booth or a photo station where they could actually take their wares and photograph them to put them online. So this would just be kind of like an incubator for these businesses. They could switch out the business every 2 weeks. But they could come back if they would like to. We would just schedule them out. And then we would also like to utilize the space behind the granary for events as well, for some chamber events. And community events, yeah.
A question for you.
Yeah.
You said rent terms is 2 weeks. Is that even enough for a starting business to get? Even their state licenses, their federal ID numbers and all that, is 2 weeks enough?
Well, I mean, we just thought that maybe if they had a constant rotation, then we would be able to get new items in there. Just more businesses switching out, and they can do it in a rotation as they want. But this is just very, very bare bones. I mean, this is something that we can kind of work with. We can try out the 2 weeks. If it feels like we need to extend that time, then we can do that.
Certain day, if they commit to 2 or 3 months to try to get themselves really either. I don't see a business really making headway for 2 or 3 months for those businessmen in here. 2 or 3 months goes by Zoom and you still haven't anything accomplished.
Well, and we talked about 2 months as well. So we had both options, 2 weeks and 2 months. So I put 2 weeks in the proposal just because I thought we could just do a fresh change. If it's a brand new business, they may not have a whole lot of products to sell. So that way they can sell those items from there.
And think of it like a pop-up shop, kind of, like if it's a brand new business, and so they're just starting out, it's good for them to get, the exposure and see, can this be a go, be in our county? Can I, is there a need, a want for whatever items they may be selling?
Is this similar to the one in Roosevelt? There's a big one out there.
Yeah.
Similar to that?
Yes.
And to that meeting of the last day for the ULCT in St. George, and it was impressive. The Utah League of Cities and Towns Conference spoke about the success they had, and not only the incubator, the space where they could literally share, sell their goods, but also network and have
Right.
meeting space and those types of things. So it was,
And we would have that as well, because as you notice that there's like the Chamber Connect at the Square bar where that we would just have like an area where you could come in, bring your laptop. If you're working from home, sometimes it just gets grueling, you know, or the kids or the dogs or whatever might be bothering you, so you just want to get away for a little while. So this would be a place that they can just kind of get away from home for a little while, use the Wi-Fi. Centricom has agreed to provide fiber to the building, so that would be great as well. So plus I think it just brings everybody together, and I think that the whole idea of, like you said, the networking and bringing ideas into the same place, as well as people coming in, exchanging ideas, I think it just helps everybody out. If you have questions.
That's where you from Munis to help with the questions, getting the licenses and helping through the process of becoming your business.
Right. And if we can't help them, then we know the resources that can. So we can send them to the places that they need to go. And there's so many resources out there, but like a lot of the businesses that have told us, they have no idea the resources or the grants or the funds or whatever that they had access to until they joined the chamber. And there's so much out there for them, but they had no idea about women in business. They had no idea about R6. They had no idea about these programs until they joined the chamber and realized that there's a lot out there that they can gain access to. And that's kind of what we want to do, is just be the facilitator for those programs and for information and for education, and do what we can to help them grow. And we've noticed that the entrepreneurial spirit seems to maybe be struggling a little bit. And so that's where we really want to start. And I think by doing this would be a great way of helping that, because it's not so scary. It gives them a place that they can try it out. And then we can do like some markets at the Square where they can also do like a pop-up shop. And they can try it, you know, their items out to see if it's gonna sell, if it's something that is gonna work for them.
It appears to me that with your budget here, you've got that it's a pretty well self-sustaining program as your projection.
Yes, the only problem, I think is that, and you'll see in here, is we probably will have to hire somebody to be at the desk, but we do also would like to have them do a rotation, so they learn how to do retail sales. So we'll work that in, but yes, it will be self-sustaining, we're hoping.
Anthony?
that's a really great point. That's what Stevens brings up. I guess I was looking at the item under support services, which I'm really excited about, that there could be footage and those types of things. St. Pete's own product sales. How do we keep it from being a Bureau of Information, kind of a visitors come here to get brochures about the trails? And maybe it is that, but is this going to be, are we doing too many things? And I don't mean that it is a Bureau of Information. All you put here is year-round shelf space for locally made goods. But will people see this building as also a information center? And
Well, we're hoping that they see it as an information center for businesses. Because they want to come to the chamber and say, hey, you know, I really need somebody that can roof my house. Who do I go to? And with us being there, then we will be able to kind of refer that information. And honestly, we get people all the time coming to us asking, you know, I had one this morning about a dry cleaner. And so they're just constantly asking us about questions, you know, who do I go to for this or for that?
You want me to give you the address? Of
I know.
So it's in the E room.
So, I mean, yeah, those are the type of things that we would like to give out information for. So that's, and I don't know, you said you were, I saw you coming towards. It's okay.
Thank you, this is.
Phelan, I thought a little bit about, this paradigm of the way we look at this, in terms of a business proposal. I'm with Lloyd. I think that it's gonna take more than 2 weeks for a business to ferret out everything that they need to do. I'm thinking probably a bare minimum of 3 months.
Yeah.
Also,
Make that adjustment.
yeah, I worry about the pipeline, you know. And I'm hoping that that when a business sort of, goes out, you know, into the big world, that there will be a business, always be another entrepreneur, to take its place in this incubator type of thing. And that's what I'm a little concerned about it. We gotta get people in the pipeline. We always have to have somebody in the pipeline so that it's not just bare space.
And I think that's where we need to reach out to the community and having an actual location where people can come to us and say, hey, listen, you know, I have this idea. I'd really like to try it out, would be great, because then they can kind of, you know, reach out to us. And up until now, we haven't had that. So they can contact us or send us an email, but a physical location sometimes is really what people want. They want to meet face to face.
I'm sorry.
I'm just curious, what does somebody have to do before they can even be considered to be in the pipeline? Do they have to have a business license? Do they have to have audits? What are all the things that have to be in place before they can even be considered to rent one of these spaces?
So they would need to have a business license, and we talked about this with the mayor. They would need to have a business license with the city and with the state, an EIN number, in order to sell, because they will be selling their wares there. So they will have to have that. So, and a product, but we want to steer away from distributors or MLMs. We don't want something like that. We would rather have somebody that has their own product that they would like to sell instead of
somebody that could eventually.
yes, right. That can move to a brick and mortar.
I'm assuming this is going to be, you're going to reach out to the whole county
Yes.
through the whole network, through the Chamber of Commerce, throughout the whole county and maybe even beyond. I'd like to.
Because it could be flexible enough, sorry, Margie, flexible enough space to be a sandwich shop for a couple of months with a little sign out on the sidewalk that says, come get your panini or something on your lunch break, city employees or something. But it could also be something totally different. It could be very different.
And that was one of the things that we thought with the switch, it would bring more people to Square, because they're constantly wanting to know what's there now. So it would be.
Bring the traffic in.
Yeah, it will be more traffic there. And I'd like to work with the college and their entrepreneurial program. And if there's a student that has a product that maybe they would like to try and put we would love to do that as well. So, you know, we have a great rapport with the college, and we would love to do that.
So if there was any food involved, though, you'd have to have a food handler's permit.
Yes, they would have to be permitted for everything, and we would not be providing any of like their warmers or anything like that. They would have to provide.
So Lloyd mentioned something a few minutes ago, and I want to follow up on it. So this is self-sustaining. You would find grants and monies through different organizations to sustain this. It says total $8,450. So you would be able to find grants and different monies to go ahead and furnish what you need for the setup, right?
Yes, and right now we're kind of in the middle of a rock and a hard place. So we have a grant right now that we are trying to close up, But in order to close that grant, we have to find a location because that's part of our grant. So in order to be able to close out on that grant, we need to have a physical location. And we've looked into several others, and Mount Pleasant had a place for us, but we really want to be in Ephraim because it's centrally located throughout the county. And we want to make sure that we are accessible to everybody throughout the county because we are a county chamber. And Ephraim is a great location. You guys have been great to us and have been very supportive of our organization as well. So we just think we belong here. So
We think so too. So council members, again, this isn't something that we vote on, but something that we need to give some direction toward. How do we feel about this happening at our granary building?
I would love to have them here. Would we need to do an RFP process for the use of our building?
Nick?
Probably not, I don't think. I mean, I'd have to look at the procurement policy a little bit closer, but I think because this is a quasi-governmental type entity, nonprofit type entity, I think that we could, if the council wanted to, not have to go through that process.
But I would like to say that, if you could give direction to staff to prepare an MOU, that would be helpful.
So council, do we feel comfortable with this?
I wonder, is there any danger of someone like coming in and never wanting to be?
I think we would have to, well, we want to vet them first.
Right.
And we will have a contract that it says that it's for only a certain amount of time. They can renew, but they have to renew later. So it won't be continuous.
Abby Ivory, could you speak to this?
Also, hi.
Abby is the 6th county economic.
Economic Development Coordinator for 6 counties, but I also am employed by Sanpete County for the Economic Development Director, but I'm also the Vice Chair for the Rural Utah Chamber Coalition. So part of my job is to actually help rural chambers in the state of Utah. So part of it has been doing innovation centers throughout the state of Utah. So I've visited the Vernal one very much because I love that one out there. And I know Lori Haslam, she was actually part of that did that in Queen Benyon. Brilliant, man. I love that. So, and then I've done also the Cedar City one, the St. George one, and also the Orem one as well. So having one in Sanpete County has actually been my wish to get one out here because I just think they're fabulous. And I love how they are really into creating innovation in the area. And that's what I've always wanted to have happen here because I live in Fountain Green, just so you know. I represent 6 counties, but really I live here. So that's what I really want to happen. I was part of creating the Sanpete Chamber because Phelan was part of my group in Nephi. So I created the Nephi Chamber of Commerce several years ago and was part of getting that successful before I turned that over. And so then we created the Sanpete one as well. So I have vested interest in making sure that this is very successful as well. As far as like getting this off the ground and making sure it's like in what we want to do, I know that cities are really interested in getting sales tax dollars. And what we're finding a lot of times with these businesses is they're really great at their business, but they don't necessarily have all the skills to have everything that's encompassing with a business. They're great at like cabinet making or welding or printing shirts and being creative that way, but maybe not necessarily with the back end part of a business. And that's what this is going to help facilitate, is doing that whole all around part. So partnering with Snow College in their entrepreneurship program is giving that pathway to doing that, teaching them about the skills with, QuickBooks and doing that, marketing, creation of logos, social media. There's so many things that we can teach them about packaging, sales tax. You won't believe how many people don't even realize that they have to collect sales tax dollars. So there's so many things that we can teach them, but there just wasn't a space to do it. And these ladies have great ideas, and they're actually one of the best chambers run in the state of Utah. We deal with every rural chamber all the way from Kanab to Brigham City. And they're one of the best run chambers, I have to tell you. They're fabulous. And the education that they provide to this county is top notch. So I have full faith in what they can accomplish here. And I know it's going to be beneficial to not only Ephraim City, but to the whole county. And I'm excited for what they can do because I know that they're going to get these businesses going so that they have a chance to not only get the education to become a really great business, but then send these businesses out into their communities now that they've tested it and they can see, okay, can I make this happen on a small scale, make it on the big scale, whether we do it on a Main Street location or something else, and then make these happen. I've been in touch with the state, some of the other people who can provide grants to make this happen. They're excited to see it happen because we haven't seen anything like this, like a retail innovation center or incubation center. We haven't seen this done across the state. And I'm like, I think this could be really cool. I think this could happen. And they're like, yeah, this sounds like an interesting concept because a lot of times they're just interested in manufacturing or technology. And I'm like, okay, go with me on this, like a retail kind of concept, how this, and they're like, okay, this could be really great. So they're excited to see this happen. Because I've been searching this out to do a concept for an innovation incubator space in Stampede. I've been looking at partnering with like the EDA and some other grants to the state. So I'm already familiar with a lot of places that were interested in doing. The EDA had already talked to us about partnering on an innovation center in Stampede County. So I'm not too concerned about getting some money to make this happen. The space is already in great shape. It looks fabulous. Picking some of the things apart that I liked, at the Vernal Innovation Center, at the Cedar City Innovation Center, St. George, where they had different things that would help in different spaces. It's easy to pull all those things together to find what's going to work for Stampede and those people who want to do a retail space. So I think this is going to be a fabulous addition to Stampede County. It's going to be new for the state of Utah. And it's going to be, Stampede is just going to be like a fabulous space to do it. And I think with, partnering with Snow College and having some of those kids come here and getting that learning of experience and stuff, you might get some of these kids to just stay here and start doing it here instead of leaving. So I think that's a great way to get some of these people to stay here instead of leaving us. So thank you.
Phelan, I just have one other question for you. Who's going to pay the utilities?
I had not put that in here. So I was really hoping that the city would help us with the utilities on that. So
We haven't with that building in the past.
okay. So, I wasn't sure, we hadn't discussed that or anything, so. I don't even know how much the utilities are for that one. I didn't even put that in here, yeah.
Frankly, I think that's the only concern I have. I can't speak for the rest of the council, but in the past, if this space were to become a liability to the city where we are paying thousands of dollars in excess of $50,000 a year to keep a happy space going for you, that would be something we need to discuss. But as it looks, it would be far less than that.
Well, we're hoping that we create a tax increase and bring in more tax dollars. And so that it will actually be a huge benefit to the city.
That's how I'm editing it too. I don't.
You what? What do you do?
Yeah, I have no idea what that would be, but that might be something that we need to determine.
As far as them going forward though, council, are we good with that? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, go forward
Okay, and probably what we'll
and do
do,
an MOU.
we will, and that will come to you guys to look at.
Right.
So, Nick, do you have anything additional to add?
I was just gonna say, we can address those utility issues and we can and then we have several options. One with utilities, one without utilities, so that the council can kind of look at all the expenses in all the different angles.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So plan, let's work. You got your go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Now moving on to the consent items. Looking for motion to approve the consent items on item 2 of the agenda, A and B.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent items
Second,
Motion made by Councilmember Stevens, second by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor?
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Moving on to study agenda, large lot subdivision discussion. Megan.
So I've just been kind of going through our code and just things have kind of come up that I feel like need a little bit of clarification on. So I want to kind of present it to you guys and see if this is a direction you would like us to go in. So with our large lot subdivision, the original intent for a large lot subdivision would be for someone who lived on a very large piece of property that was going to maybe cut off a little part to have a home and maybe have farm the rest of their land or have animals or something like that. And they're kind of on the outskirts of town, so to speak. We have different classifications for that. But it kind of absolves them from having to do a lot of infrastructure requirements and going through a whole subdivision review. We want to keep the intent of that, so we're not putting extra burdens on rural landowners that, maybe have 40 acres and just want to develop a small little part to put a home on it. And we're not making them do frontage improvements on a whole 40 acres, right? Just kind of where their house will be. Because when you build in Ephraim, you are responsible for frontage improvements on your lot. So if their lot is 40 acres, the frontage improvements would be 40 acres, which would kind of get a little obscene. So what we're looking for is just a little bit more clarity, like maybe you can do this, but only a certain amount of lots. You have to have a certain amount of acreage. It's not intended to do a development of 20 homes on a large lot subdivision to not have to do city improvements. And that's what we kind of want to avoid. Because we have people coming in, well, I'm gonna do a subdivision, but I'll just do large lots, so I don't have to do sidewalks. I can have a dirt road. So we're thinking of creating like a certain amount, a lot size that you have to have. You can only portion off a certain number of lots. So let's say I'm just throwing a number out here, 40 acres. On that 40 acres, you can only have 2 or 3 homes that would qualify under the large lot subdivision. And we would kind of like to have a stipulation in there that if it's next to another subdivision, whether it's been developed yet or not, just if has been a subdivision approval and it's a recorded plat, that it doesn't qualify for a large lot subdivision because you already are going to have existing homes development there. So we just want to keep the true intent of that to kind of protect those that are a little bit more rural and not quite as central to in town. And we still want that to be there as a benefit for those, but we don't want it to be abused or kind of use it to get out of some of those improvements that we're looking for, like sidewalk and curb and gutter and roads and things like that. So if that's something that you guys would like us to pursue or have more questions on, I would love your feedback. I'd love to discuss it with you. I just didn't want to, if that's not the direction you wanted us to go, I didn't want to go through and have Nick draft a bunch of code language if it's not something that we're interested in pursuing at this time. So,
Council members, thoughts, questions?
Is there anything in the code about the size that would make it a large lot? Right now, do we even know, how do you determine whether it's a large lot?
So there are different areas that are kind of like layers, like a middle, an inner and an outer layer that kind of determines what they have to do as far as improvements. But we don't have a specific number of what size. I think the size has to be, is it 1.5 acres? The lot that they divide off has to be 1.5 acres. So right now it just says, as long as it's 1.5 acres, you technically ask for the large lot subdivision. even though you're not like portioning off, like we don't have a limit on how many times you can portion off that 1.5 acres. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if you had 40 acres and you did lots 1.5 acres each, it could be a large lot subdivision with everything, which would, it would meet any of these criteria on that.
Right,
for
yeah.
all of those.
So we kind of want to limit that, like if it's someone who owns 40 acres and they want to have their home on there, yes, that's great. We don't want 40 1.5 acre or, 35 or 30 or whatever homes out there on 1.5 acres with no city infrastructure or improvements. So. So if we presented some things and maybe in another study agenda with some more definition on numbers and things like that, you guys would be open to that?
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor, and I think you're hitting all the boxes that I would be concerned about.
Okay.
The one thing, Megan, that we don't want, and I've told you this before.
Right.
I don't want a gravel road in Ephraim City.
Right, and we don't want that either.
In subdivisions.
Yeah, in a subdivision, yeah. So, yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid. We want to keep if you want a gravel road out to your farm and you live on the outskirts of town, I'd love to keep that going for you. But inside, the main hub of Ephraim, we do need to, have roads and sidewalks and stuff like that for our residents.
So in the future, as they look at the future and things change, and maybe they're brought into the city limits, then they would have to make sure all of those improvements, if they turned it into, say, a traditional subdivision, they would have to make
Yeah, they
all
could,
of those improvements.
right, yeah, so they could have their home that they did originally, but if they wanted to continue to develop, they would have to fall under just a normal subdivision review where those improvements would be required.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, that's good, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, construction standards, Brian Kevin.
Hey, I've been working with Jeff, Public Works Director, just going over some of the things that we'd like to see. We know there's some growth coming into Ephraim, and we want to make sure our codes are up to snuff. So when growth comes, we have the right requirements in place. As part of our construction standards, there's a few things that we've been kind of keeping track of, some things that have been the historical practice, some things that are written in some places and are some things that the technology has changed over time for different construction techniques and things like that. So we just wanted to make a first pass at doing some of the things that we feel are most critical for going forward. So if you look at your packet, page 11, I won't go through the entire code that you have in your packet, including that for your reference, but just a couple of key points here. So one is our street section. We have discovered that, through a number of geotech reports and a number of subdivisions and developments, we have pretty terrible soil here in Ephraim as far as building goes. We have seen enough that we feel pretty comfortable that our current standards are lacking in that. We require 6 inches of road base and 2.5 inches of asphalt. We know that every time we get a geotech report or an actual pavement design for development, it's always a lot more than that. So we feel pretty comfortable upsizing our road requirements to just make sure we get a better road so that the citizens are protected and we don't have to come back and repair roads that fall apart after development comes in. So that's going to be increased, thicker road base, actual drain or borrow underneath the road base, thicker asphalt, just to make sure, and that matches pretty much what has been determined through a number of engineering reports across the city. So that's one of the big ones.
Can I just ask you a real quick question, Brian? Is that the basis of the problem on the cul-de-sac at 90 East?
90
That we just replaced?
550 East.
Is it 550? Yeah.
That's part of the problem. the asphalt was not as thick, the base was not as thick. There's some other problems there. That's an old subdivision that has really old infrastructure, but part of it is how it was constructed. Hope to avoid that with some of the changes.
It's 550.
It's like 50 east on 100 north. And the post is there by the.
The city has just redone the calls.
We had, yeah, if you're not familiar with that, we had major problems on the cul-de-sac. Homes have been there for decades, streets been there for decades. Really a lot of problems with settling, with the asphalt pulling away from the curb and gutter. There was pretty significant drops that actually caused some injuries to some residents there. And so we went in and replaced the curb and gutter, sidewalk, and the asphalt, replaced everything because it was just a mess. So,
It had gone away from the curb by that much.
asphalt pulled away from the curb, left big gaps, and so yeah, that's something that we would hope to build a little bit better, so we will not come back and do that drastically. We find doing repairs that happens. We just don't want to do a full redo. So some of the other stuff, water, we have some things for meters, the depth of meters, the cover, some of the valves and bypasses that we require for different meter sizes. This is stuff that is in certain places in code, but not others. We're just trying to make it all consistent. So that's pretty standard there. Some of the sewer, we just want to make sure that we get adequate slope on our sewer. Storm drain, that's something that has been required. We're just making it more clear in the code. So this is the summary. You can see it in the text further back in the packet, how that's going to look. And we're just hoping to get those in place so that if we have new growth coming in, that we're prepared for that. We're not trying to catch up after the fact.
Does this also address new commercial construction?
So anything that comes into Ephraim has to follow our construction standards or else we won't accept it. The development builds the roads and the infrastructure. Once they build it, as long as it's done to our standards, then we'll accept it, we'll maintain it, we'll accept ownership of it. Commercial, residential.
Okay, for example, restaurants, those types of things, would there be additional pieces we look at with some commercial or residential?
So this is more generic for everything. If you're gonna lay a water line, it needs to meet the standards. If you have a meter, residential or commercial, it needs to meet the standards. We do have other things that we will continue to look at in our codes. This is our first pass. We're gonna come back with another pass and keep tweaking and make sure that we're up to snuff on.
Is APWA more stringent or more lax?
American Public Works Association. So it's a national set of codes that is used. Some cities just adopt that outright as opposed to having their own codes. It's more robust than ours is. It covers a lot more topics, a lot more things. Sometimes something comes up, it's not in our codes, but it is in the APWA.
So we can say, we're gonna follow that.
We'll follow those set of codes as long as you meet that standard, we're okay. Any other questions?
I have a question in regards to roads and road improvements. The road going to my house seems to be quite narrow. And it's not getting addressed anytime soon.
47?
30s.
Oh, 30s.
Before then.
Oh.
But we tend to, Wild Acres. Out there, we're getting tons more traffic. What's the plan there? I mean, it's barely possible to lane. If you stretch into the neighbor's yards. Like you're pushing your limits. For passability and speed.
So that's a common question. And it happens anywhere there's development, it happens on the outskirts, leapfrogs some of the development. Instead of building it up normally, if all of those fields had developed, everyone would improve their frontage as they develop. The sidewalk, the roads would have been widened, sidewalk would have been installed.
Yeah.
All of that skipped, all of that. And so there's just a little skinny road that goes out there. You're exactly right.
Speaking of sidewalks, on the same stretch of road, with that nice new development, nice sidewalks. On the north side of the sidewalk, there's like an 8-foot drop into the ditch. Less than me to you. And on the south side, about 5 or 6 feet past the end of the sidewalk, with a power pole. Right there. There's lots of runners and walkers out there, as you know, all hours of the day and night.
Right, and one piece developed and they put their sidewalk in and none of the other pieces have developed yet, so none of
Some
that.
kind of a barricade before somebody runs off the end of that sidewalk into that.
Look at that.
I mean, just for a kid riding his bike. Yeah,
Take a look at that.
I've always worried. We've seen vehicles. But I worry about the lady out walking the dog at 2 o'clock in the morning, kid riding, racing to school in the morning.
Yeah, we've added some signage and barriers at multiple places to do.
And do you know what? Let's have you come in later and talk about this separately, so that Brian has a chance to, prepare, okay? Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
So this is the study, just to kind of give you a heads up, if you have any comments, if you go home and say, what about this? And give me a call. Let's talk about it. They have this in a form that you can adopt the next council meeting. This will be just amending our city codes. And again, this is first step of several to come. So we're going through our code for just, we want to make sure that we're ready for growth.
Great, thank you, Brian. Moving on to item 4, action item 4A, appointment to the Crossing Public Infrastructure District Number 1 Board of Trustees. Appointment of Jeff Knowlton to fill the trustee vacancy created by the resignation of Kevin Romney for the remainder of the current term.
And I'm taking this, Mayor. So as you know, there's been some turnover on the board. We really don't have any choice in this matter, so it's a perfunctory vote on this. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, first, is there any, I mean, it is, but is there any discussion and questions that you thought?
My question was just that. Why would we be filling their trustee vacancy?
That's part of what we entered in.
Our responsibility.
Okay. Get it?
I move that we approve the appointment of Jeff Knowlton to fill the trustee vacancy created by the resignation of Kevin Romney for the remainder of the current term of the Crossing Public Infrastructure District Number 1 Board of Trustees.
Motion made by Councilmember Nordfeld,
I'll second
second by Councilmember Birch. All in favor?
Yes.
It passes unanimously. Moving on to item B, Ephraim City Resolution 25-17, Scandinavian Festival Board bylaws. Michael.
So last city council, I presented the bylaws for your review. You had some feedback. I've made those changes, specifically putting in there that we report to city council on a regular basis. And pull up here. Sorry, my copy I have here is only part of the bylaws, so. So under Article 7 or 6. Section 4. I just added that the board would provide financial reports to the city quarterly. And just making sure that the city council is aware of the spending for ScanFest throughout the year. And hopefully the revenue that we will take in from this as well.
Just to let you know, Michael, there are 2 Article 5s in the document. So that needs to be changed.
2 regards to 6.
Thank you, that's right, I'm sorry, 2 Article 6.
The financial matters would be in Article 7 and then the rest.
It's not with the resolution, but isn't today the 6th day of August?
Yes.
Okay, so that
You
means,
better remember it.
yeah,
I have the fix on.
okay.
Okay. So you did catch it.
Any other questions on these bylaws?
Thanks for making those updates. It looks fine still.
Yes.
Any questions, council members?
Thanks for your work on that.
Looking for a motion?
Motion that we adopt ECR 25-17 Scandinavian Festival Board bylaws.
Second,
Motion made by Councilmember Beal, second by Councilmember Anderson, all in favor?
Yes.
Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on now to council reports. We're going to begin with Councilmember Northville.
Excited to have these passed and we'll go to work, populating that board. We're hoping to have a first meeting of the board, the end of September. So
Great,
that's all I have.
thank you. Councilmember Steve?
Just thankful we haven't had any fire.
yes,
Well,
We need rain,
we need rain.
so bad.
That's
it.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson?
not much except that Representative Burgess Owens is coming to the UAMPS meeting in Fairview. I think it's gonna be an interesting discussion because they're gonna talk about power situations and fire and all of those things. I watched how the Arcane had to replace so many with Utah Power Line, whatever they call them now, who had to replace so many power poles. I saw someplace they replaced 25 in 2 days. So an emergent or a happening like that fire is just has so many long-term effects on the community. And those are the things that you kind of try to prepare for, and sometimes you can't. But I'm interested to hear what they have to say. Yeah.
I was talking with a board member of UAMPS, and they are working with UAMPS in a
Yes.
very cooperative way.
Yeah.
And it's good to see.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Bill?
Great things happening on both Youth City Council and the Library Board. Youth City Council just ordered shirts for their new people for this year, so that's exciting.
Do you know how many they have?
They reduced the amount this year too.
I don't have many shirts for ordered. And I'll look at them. Library had a great activity on Saturday. Pizza and crafts for any of the kids who completed their summer reading goals.
I completed it.
Yes. So that's great. So they ordered 20 shirts for Youth City Council. There's a few extras. So. But both are doing great. So thanks to Michael on the library and Julia and some others on Youth City Council.
Thank you.
I just want to report on Eve from 101. Katie Witt did a really good job putting that together, especially for the candidates. And we have great candidates that are running for the city council and the mayor positions. But I thought that was well done, and I think the candidates are now more educated and can make better decisions because of that experience. And so I just want to thank the department heads and everybody who made that possible, and for Katie for organizing that. So thank you.
Give Katie a round of applause. did a great job with that. Anything else? That's all. Okay, thank you. We need to talk about, we now have a council office. We've never had one before. And, with the reorganization of this building, that left a room open for a council office. And in order to, meet with residents whenever they want to meet with us, we need to set up some council hours. And, I'm thinking it ought to be, on a Monday through Thursday from 5 to 6. I don't know what day though. And I mean, I'm not settled totally on the time. It has a lot to do with your time constraints.
Mornings are my best, so 5 to 6 a.m. is perfect.
Well, the residents probably want to come at 5 a.m.
And we talked about not on Wednesdays, obviously, because of this.
Yeah.
This
Or
week.
not.
Although it could be, I mean, if that's the only day that works, we could do it. The reason why I picked Monday through Thursday is that's when our full staff is here all day long until 6 p.m. Friday, they have a shortened day. And so I don't know what works out best for all of us.
So Bear, are you thinking that 4 nights a week we'd be here, or are you thinking just one night sometime in those 4 nights?
It would be one night, 5 to 6, and it would be one of us. And we would rotate it over a 5-week period.
So every 6 weeks, we have a turn.
Correct.
And it's gonna be the same night every week.
That's what we need to do, I
And
think.
I agree.
I'm curious, when do you have your board meetings that you attend? Are they a specific day? Like I have some on Thursdays, I have some on Wednesdays. I'm just curious, is there a night that's open that doesn't have a board meeting that might be?
Rec board is Wednesday night late. Planning and zoning is Wednesday, 6, and our Scandinavian board's gonna be Thursdays.
Monday sounds like
Thursdays. I teach on Monday nights this semester, 6. But I could go. It's only once every 6 weeks. I'm not going.
Would you? Tuesday. What time? 6.
Monday's late, it's like 8 p.m.
Right.
Boom.
Troy.
Wednesdays and Thursdays at 6, 5:30 and Wednesday.
Maybe Tuesday.
Is Tuesday night the best night?
6.
That works.
Tuesday, 5 to 6. Okay. Well, a day. Yeah. So this is gonna start September, the beginning of September, because we need to get the information out. And so, Margie, you're the senior council member. Would you do September 2nd?
That'd be fun.
Lloyd, September 9th. Dennis, September 16th. Anthony, September 23rd. And Troy, September 30th. And then we'll rotate back around. So October 7th would be Margie. October 14th would be Lloyd. October 21st would be Dennis. October 28th would be Anthony. And November 4th would be Troy.
When are the elections in November?
That's the second Tuesday. That's the first Tuesday.
Yeah, that's.
You should take that one off.
Yeah, so Troy, November 11th.
Veterans Day.
That's Veterans Day.
And do we close on that?
Yes, we are.
We do. So let's do November 18th.
18th it is. Okay, I got it.
And then we'll go from there. And we have, a compliment. I don't know if, have all of you seen the new council office?
No.
Okay, we have a full complement, desk, chairs, couches.
Home theater?
ho-
Home machine?
For you, for Margie, for
Where is it?
It's Megan's old office.
Where Megan's old office. Yeah. We met with the first Ferguson group today. I gotta get that out. We met with the Ferguson group today, and Margie was there with us. And just things are going along swimmingly. For those of you who don't know, Ferguson Group is our lobbyist in Washington, DC. We have employed them for the last 7 years. And they have gained for us over $24 million in federal grants. And they work with us on the grant applications, and then they lobby. Along with myself.
And you only paid them half that?
We paid them a fraction.
Wonderful.
We had an airport board meeting this last week, which was very successful. And that's all I have.
So, are you okay if we trade our nights?
Yep. Just as long as someone's there. You can bribe someone else.
I would make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the provisions.
I have to, is that all right? Sorry.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Okay, no, I think this is gonna take a while, Mayor. As you were talking, I probably should announce that October 14th, which is a Tuesday, we are gonna have an open house here from 5 to 7. And what that is gonna be, we're going to have we've had some shuffling around recently in the building. We want to open up the building, invite people in, see where people are billeted, as it were. We're going to have some public works vehicles. We're going to have some power vehicles here. There might be bucket truck rides. I don't know. Don't tell the trust. They probably would say no. Anyway, so there'll be fun activities that evening. On October 14th. So that is going to impact whoever had October 14th as their day. Guess what? We're having a power outage. We were supposed to have a power outage last week. This is for Rocky Mountain Power has to replace a piece of their system. And as such, it's going to take down our system. So it was supposed to happen last week. They didn't get their ducks in a row. They say their ducks are in a row now. So the power outage will be from Friday into Saturday morning from midnight to 4 a.m. There will be a notice that goes out tomorrow, and we will put it on social media as well. But you just did. You're awesome. Okay. Also, I want council to be aware with changes happening at the granary and some of the things that we want to have happen in Fort Ephraim Square. One of the things that has been suggested by Sarah Thomas at Hans Hansen House with DUP and other members is that we move the CCA cabin over with the rest of the cabins. The Pioneer Park, right. She has found a group that is willing to move that cabin. I want to check in with you on if you think that is an okay idea or not. Yes. In fact, that is who is going to be helping with this. So I can't say a name. So, so what would happen if you are in agreement? The city would prep the site. They have a spot picked out for it. And Michael, do you want to talk a little bit towards this. He's been more involved in this than I have.
So Sarah Thomas reached out to me. She's been in contact with various stakeholders wanting to get that cabin moved over. It'll go behind the Hans Hansen house, right next to, or right by the bathrooms, just behind the wagon that's there. And then the rest of that lawn area, the hope is to pave it and to expand the parking lot behind there. And then hook the cabin back up to electricity. It's currently hooked up to electricity. And then display CCA Christensen art in that cabin. The family has been donating prints of his art to the DUP. And so that's the hope with that.
Would it be part of, sorry to interrupt you, would it be part of the tour that some of the service missionaries are currently giving at school? It's because right now it's not, obviously, across the street.
Yes, it would be added to that tour that the DUP and the service missionaries do for Pioneer Park.
Yeah. Thank you. So obviously we're if there are concerns in the community, love to make sure that we have all the information before we make this decision, but our intent is to preserve that and put it in a location where it can be showcased. So
The facts. To have a transport that we can.
that is a good question. And
I hope nothing happens to it.
yeah. 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 Since 98. Based on the plaque. Yes. It might have been longer, but when I read the plaque, it said it got lived in 98. So secondarily, so that's that structure. There's another structure behind that. It is not of historic significance. And we would like to surplus that building. I'm sure somebody would love to have that and make it theirs. So there's no, it's the tall, skinny wood. There's a like root cellar underneath with lots of chunks of concrete down there. Pretty sure that's a liability as well. Oh, sorry. Anyway, so it's a tall, skinny structure, and it's solid wood. And if somebody wanted to put it on their land or use the wood, reclaimed barn wood for projects, I think it would be great. But what we're trying to do is make that space a little bit more inviting. We're going to be trying to improve it to have it as a gathering space. So those are the thoughts. No decisions need to be made tonight. I just want to introduce the idea to you, to think about it, talk with community members.
Would they need our permission?
Yeah. Correct. And say that again.
Well, this would be in conjunction with the city.
Yes.
We're
Yeah.
working hand in hand.
Team effort.
We don't need their permission, but
We're working.
Yeah. And it is my understanding it was the family's wish. So, but we will make sure that that is the case. So, all right. And that is all, Mayor.
I will have one of those family members.
And that would be great. Thank you.
All right, let's hit it.
I make a motion to close session pursuant to the provisions of the Utah State Code, sections 52-4-205, for the purpose of discussing selecting lodging.
Motion made by Councilmember Stevens. Second by Councilmember Norfeld. All in favor? Yes. We'll move into closed session now.
Thanks, everybody, for being here for that. As it says.
Yeah. It's the closest with.
It's 7:15.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah, because when it passes. Right.
They do not. Okay, we're still working out the bugs.
Some kind of, I looked on their website and I'll look for some instructions how to connect them to the hearing. Because
Okay,
so
that's right. Working on it. Right, we'll try. They're coming back to try to.
If they're speaking to the mic, I can tell you changed it.
Yes.
If they're speaking to the mic,
Good.
I can hear it, but if they don't.
Awesome, wonderful.
thanks for.
Okay.
You go.
Hi, we are going into closed session. I can't talk to you tonight. Okay. We're good. Thanks, Nick.
It would be all right if I gave you.
Absolutely. All right.
It'll look like Sonia's